All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about a very important and yet sort of a hot topic within the XDefiant community. And I hope the devs are listening to this because this is very important, because we do not want to fall for a similar trap that another franchise arcade shooter is doing currently when it comes to the camo grind system. Now, in Season 4, we are going to be having, in XDefiant, Weapon Mastery 2.0. So that means that there's going to be a different way in terms of, or should I say different ways, in terms of how you can unlock camos. Because right now, all you have to do is use a gun and you unlock camos. There are some people that absolutely love this, and there are a lot of people that absolutely hate this because they want there to be challenges behind all of these different camos, which absolutely makes sense. But the problem with this is that when you are doing certain challenges, right? When you're doing certain challenges to unlock certain camos for your weapon, depending on what that challenge is, if you have a certain challenge, for instance, that requires you to basically take a long shot, or to, let's say, something specific like that, that's extremely passive, for instance, that is something that can ruin the objective-based gameplay. Because when you look at the differences, for instance, between XDefiant and Call of Duty, one of the big differences is that Call of Duty has streaks and XDefiant doesn't. However, XDefiant, on the other hand, does have factions. So, therefore, when you look at what XDefiant really focuses on at its core, the way the factions work and why they're there in the first place and how they're designed around objective-based gameplay. So what I'm suggesting is that, yes, for Weapon Mastery 2.0, obviously the devs are obviously going to change it up. And what they're going to do is they're going to give us different ways in order to grind camos for the weapons. I think just using a gun is no longer going to be a thing. I think there's going to be challenges tied behind that, which is something that the community itself has been requesting. However, we don't want it to just be a cut and paste of what COD is doing, not only because we want XDefiant to be different within and of itself, but also because XDefiant has a lot of things that it can be inspired from its own design in order to create the perfect challenge system. So I have a few ideas here that I want to get into. And not only that, I don't see why XDefiant can't take from another game. Now, I do know that there are those of you guys that play other games, like for instance, a Rainbow Six Siege or something like that. And unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with those, or a Valorant or something like that. So I'm not entirely sure how those camo grinds take place exactly, but there are a couple of games that I know, obviously one of them being COD, another one being XDefiant, and another one that I kind of think we can kind of draw inspiration from when it comes to something like this is Halo. Now, I know that's what some of you guys are saying. Well, Jack, Halo is not an arcade shooter. No, it's not, but it is an arena shooter. So therefore, we can take inspiration from an arena shooter, because when you look at XDefiant, it is an arcade shooter, but it has also been called an arcade/arena shooter. So therefore, let's get into this before this video ends up being way too long. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, the difference is one of the main differences between XDefiant and Call of Duty is that XDefiant does not have kill streaks. However, Call of Duty does, and XDefiant, in the place of kill streaks, has factions. So here's what I'm suggesting. There can be challenges tied to factions, right? And we're not just talking about equip this faction and do this challenge. Obviously, you can do things like that, sure. But in addition to that, having faction-based challenges in terms of how you use your passive, or how you use your, your, all your different abilities, your ultras and all that kind of stuff, all of that can actually be tied to your weapons camos. Now, I know some of you guys are going to say, well, Jack, that doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. You know why? Because what's wrong with them? What's wrong with them adding in faction-based camos? Think about that for a second. We've got a whole bunch of factions right now, right? And we're going to have more coming, right, within every season. So therefore, why can't we have faction-based camos? Not just your regular gold, diamond, blues, yellows, orange, purples, or whatever they're going to call them, a mixture of the two, all the different designs and stuff like that. That stuff's great, don't get me wrong. But in addition to that, you can also have faction-based camos. And it doesn't just stop there. How about we also make the factions objective based? I think one of the things that Call of Duty doesn't do enough, or if at all, and please forgive me, I haven't played modern COD in years, and nor do I ever plan on, going back to that again unless they change their ways, which they're not. But going back to the topic here with XDefiant, the thing is this: objective based camo challenges are the way to go, because at its core, other than team deathmatch, you've got a whole bunch of objective-based gameplay and the factions that support that. So therefore, this gives the players even a better way to become even more efficient in capturing objectives, because it motivates them to do so even more. This even includes the Slayers, the ones that don't play the OBJ as hard, or even the ones that don't play the OBJ at all. Now, I know what some of you guys are also thinking. Well, what about Team Deathmatch? Team Deathmatch is probably the most popular game mode in the game, if not one of the most popular game modes in the game, right? Okay, so let's just say for historical fact's sake that that's true, that Team Deathmatch, just like any other game out there, is likely to be the most popular game mode in XDefiant, right? Let's just think about that for a second. What kind of objectives are there in Team Deathmatch? Very simple. Going on kill streaks, in other words, getting kills without dying. However, I know what you guys are thinking. If you end up having camos that are based off of going on streaks without dying, well, guess what? You're going to encourage camping, because people are going to be camping for camos. Well, here is where I have something that XDefiant can do a little bit differently, and it kind of is already doing it in game. Now, this is also simultaneously an inspiration from Halo. So here's what I'm getting at. With Halo, in order to get a double kill, triple kill, for those of you guys that have played Halo are very familiar with this. When you get a double kill, it's basically when you get a second kill within 4 seconds of your previous kill, and then a triple kill, the same thing, within 4 seconds of your previous kill. Now, XDefiant is kind of doing this with the skulls that you guys see that kind of just show up whenever you get a kill, right? And then you get a second one, you see 2 skulls within a certain period of time, and then the third one. The fifth is the max, although you can get more, but it doesn't do more skulls other than 5. I think XDefiant really needs to update that, and I personally would love it if XDefiant were to add colors to that. But here's what I'm saying. Not just for Team Deathmatch game modes, but for other game modes as well, getting a certain amount of kills within a certain amount of time would make a hell of an objective, similar to how it is done with double kill, triple kill, overkill, with Halo. I don't see why XDefiant can't do this. And again, it's because you're putting in that time limit in terms of to when they can get that next kill. Guess what? They actually have to hurry up and get to their next target, or else they're not going to, get closer and elevate their tiers up to the next level in order for them to unlock that camo. So they're not going to progress that way unless they move around. And obviously for objective-based game modes, guess what? This will also be a really good way for people to play objective-based game modes more often, specifically those that want camos. You know why? Because quite frankly, what if you were able to combine all these? I mean, I don't see why not, right? People get a whole bunch of dopamine, and when you've got a whole bunch of camos that you can grind for, dude, I mean, hell, well, why not go for them, right? And it gives the players plenty to do. And that's one of the things that we've all been asking for, at least most players have been asking for, is that they want something to do. Now, obviously in season 3, we're gonna have Prestige, and then obviously in season 4, we're gonna have the Mastery Camo 2.0, and hopefully there's gonna be a lot of Mastery camos to go for, or should I just say camos in general, because again, you've got the battle pass that's going to give you some camos. Okay. But when you have all these different challenges that you can do and accomplish to get additional camos that are not necessarily the mastery camo, unless you do all the other challenges that enable you to unlock the mastery camo. And we're talking everything from objectives, kills within a certain period of time, a combination of both, and of course, which faction you're using and how are you using it to play the objectives or slaying. There are so many different ways that you could do this. Also, let's not forget about taking out things. A lot of people, I use the EMP grenades, for instance, right? But a lot of people don't, some of them do, but not a lot of people do when you look at the entirety. I mean, sometimes more often than not, I find myself being the only person using EMP grenades and throwing them at those damn turrets that could be so damn annoying. So all of a sudden, what if you get challenges to where you can take out the turrets, whether it's by gun or whether it's by grenade or whatever, right? Take out those damn turrets or take out whatever other, ability that might be on the map. This will give players incentives to focus on not just kills and objectives, but whenever they see a turret, for instance, right? Just to name the one example, they can go right after that thing, right? It gives them a reason to do that, because there are often oftentimes where players will ignore that turret or whatnot. But all of a sudden, when they have a camo to go for or some more XP to go for, especially since Prestige is already going to be out and it's going to give players another reason to level up, guess what? Wham bam. Also, another idea that just literally popped in my head, devs, is basically, what if you were to get camos that were prestige based? Simple as that. Like, you level up, guess what? You unlock this other camo because you worked so hard. And again, camos are so important because it's pretty much tradition in arcade shooters to where people will literally grind and play the game to unlock all the camos and stuff. And with an XDefiant, since there's no EOMM and no SBMM, guess what? It makes it even more possible and more fun and a lot more consistent. And it's really satisfying when that is the case, right? When the experience is organic, it's that much more satisfying. So again, prestige-based camos is another thing. So what do we got here? We got faction camos, prestige-based camos, kills, but not in streaks in the way that you think. Streaks within a certain amount of seconds, so that way you can, move up the tier like that. Similar to Halo and similar to what the skulls that you see on the front of your screen when it comes to XDefiant. And again, adding in different colors for different tiers, I think would be a good thing. I think a lot of players would like that. So you get like a white one for the first kill, a yellow one once you get a double kill, an orange one when you get a triple kill, a green one when you get a quad, a purple one when you get 5, blue. You can keep the skulls limited to 5 so that way it doesn't take too much of your screen, but all of a sudden the first skull turns to blue, and then you get a red skull, then you get a black skull, and then you can get a flaming skull, and so on and so forth. We're going to get badges too. Guess what? What if we make camos based off of badges? Right? The kind of badges that you're going to see, which are pretty much going to be medals, right? What if you were to do camos based off of badges? And of course, the thing that is under everybody's tongue, camos that are obviously animated, right? The different animations and stuff like that they started doing in Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3 or whatnot. And Dark Matter was just the beginning of the iceberg, and just the tip of the iceberg. So, and again, in order to go on certain streaks or whatnot, what if you get a mastery camo that changes for the more kills you get, like lights up even more or changes its animation or something like that? Now, I know that that's more fancy when it comes to programming and stuff like that, but we're talking about like the highest tier. But when you look at things like medals, also known as what's going to be known as badges, prestige levels and all that kind of stuff, you're having multiple tiers of all these different kinds of camos. And then you got your factions, you got your objectives, you got the ways you're using them, you got all these different things to take out things. And then of course, game mode based. Oh my gosh, you've got all these different game modes that are in this game and more to come, right? What if you make camos based off of game modes? Simple as that. If there could be calling cards, right, in arcade shooters that are based off of how you master that particular game mode, why not there be a mastery camo for that? Oh, and we're not just talking about a mastery camo for all these ideas, guys. We're talking about different tiers of camos, right? So let's say you win, let's say 25 domination games by like at least 50 points or something like that, right? You get this really badass looking camo, right? But if you were to do that 100 times, you get an even more badass camo. And let's say the top tier is, I don't know, like 300 or something like that, right? Think about that for a second. I mean, all these different challenges can be made. And we're not just talking about objective-based gameplay, but we're also talking about slayers, right? What about people that just love to slay? You got to have something for them too, right? Okay, how about this? Get 30 kills in a team deathmatch. Get 25 kills in a team deathmatch. Get 40 kills in a team deathmatch. Get 45, get 50. Okay, all these different tiers. And then, of course, you got your wins, how many wins you got on Team Deathmatch by how much, and et cetera, et cetera. What about manage to get 100 kills in a domination or an occupy or something like that? There have never been camos or like true challenges that have been rewarding players in that aspect. Even though players have been doing it, it's like, yeah, I'm going to try to go for 100-point domination. But yet there's never been challenges in COD that reward you for going on a 100-point domination. There's never been a challenge that basically says, get 100 kills in domination. What if it was like, hey, another challenge, capture this many objectives, capture the B flag within the first minute of when the game, when you spawn in game. Guys, all of this stuff is just the tip of the iceberg, and I just thought of this not long before making this commentary, and some of this stuff I thought of while literally doing this commentary, because I don't script my commentaries, and when I do, they're very lightly scripted, so to speak. So again, let's see. Yeah, and then of course you got your traditional challenges like headshots and assists. But honestly, I think things like long shots should be like not even existent in the game, because quite frankly, it keeps you away from the objective, right? So again, maybe some people might like that sort of thing, and if it's popular enough. But if anything, it's been annoying for objective-based game modes, and it's one of the biggest fears when it comes to whatever they're going to come up with camo grinding or whatnot. And for the players that actually do it, they dread doing it because they're forced to play a different way, right? So if you're going to do something, you might as well at least make it fun and, of course, inspiring by the game itself. And between all the factions, between all the abilities that we have that we can choose from 2 different abilities. So imagine trying to get players to use other abilities that they normally would not use for camos. Doesn't that make sense? For challenges. And then you tie the prestige system onto that, you've got yourself a banger. And then bring contracts into the mix, you've got yourself a banger. Imagine doing a contract for a specific camo or camos and adding multiple tiers for that. The world is your oyster, my friends. Let your imagination flow. So devs, I hope you listen to this video. I hope you take some of this into consideration, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. And since you guys basically focus on XDefiant for a living, literally, I'm pretty sure you can come up with ideas that are even better than the ones I mentioned here. So with that being said, I really would love for you guys to not only give some feedback in the comment section, but also to give your ideas as well to add into the mix, because I love hearing from you guys. I know the development team does. There was an extra, usually I had one developer on my stream. In the stream that I just ended, there was an additional one, and they watch and they share my videos, which was a shocker to me. They told me themselves. So therefore, you know, they do listen to us and watch videos, and they do read comment section, unlike what one of you guys said in one of my previous comments. So therefore, let's get this thing rolling, so that way when season 4 comes out and they do the Weapon Mastery 2.0, it ends up being a banger, and it gives people a shit ton of things to do in the game. So with that being said, guys, I'm ending it here. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, I like to thank everybody, both dev and non-dev alike, for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.